Well, after the fire, that pretty much left Pete and Edna without a dime to their names. They had sunk a good chunk of their money into the Treemont, but Pete was one of them damn fools who refused to get insurance for the place, calling it giving money to a company and getting nothing in return. But because he built the drive-in and focused so much on it, the farm had kind of went by the wayside, and it was only after a month or two it was clear Pete and Edna were going to lose the whole place. And this is where Mitch Hardcastle came into the picture. Was that? Oh, right. Yeah, so Mitch was Orrin's brother. Yeah, that's right, the sheriff. But while Orrin was a lawman at heart, Mitch was the money man. Owned the Lansing Theater in town, that was a regular movie theater, and he'd been trying to figure out how to compete with the Treemont. Oh, he had an advantage in that the Lansing could operate year-round while Pete could only open the Treemont for the summer. But Mitch Hardcastle never met a competitor he didn't try to put out of business in one way or another. So, in October of '51, Mitch set about clearing the land for a new drive-in. He had told the town that what with the heavy snow he got up there in the wintertime, he expected the new drive-in to be open by summer of '53. But even still, he moved real damn fast. By the time the first snow flew that year, the whole damn farm had been raised and flattened, house, screen, and all. And he was ready to get on with things when the snow melted the following spring. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing when construction began in earnest. Here's where things get a little, hinky, you might say. Working on the construction crew was Tim Lawrence. Now, Tim could never catch a break in his life. Nobody in town really liked him, and he didn't like anybody. Only ever held a job long enough for him to piss away his paycheck on cheap booze and women. But Mitch needed a big crew to get the new drive-in up to snuff, and somehow Tim managed to get a job there. For about a month, anyway. Like I said, Tim liked his liquor, and it wasn't long before he was in my dad's bar ranting about what happened to Mike Newell hadn't been an accident. Now, keep in mind, I don't know exactly what it was he said. Dad was the one who told me the story, and it's been nearly 70 damn years since I heard it. But if I'm remembering correctly, Dad said that Tim claimed the bulldozer wasn't running, that somebody had started it up and put it into gear while Henry was talking to the foreman. Tim said firing Henry was just to cover up whatever shady business Mitch Hardcastle was up to out there. Yeah, I don't know, really. I mean, Mitch was a tight-fisted, cold-hearted bastard, pardon the language, and would do anything he could to turn a profit on something, but Tim wasn't exactly the most reliable sources on anything. In Tim's eyes, everything and everyone was out to get him personally. So Dad just kind of let him rant until he wore himself out and left the bar, and he pretty much figured that was the end of it. So, about mid-July, I actually get a phone call from Mitch himself. He tells me Pete Crenshaw said I did a great job for him taking admission at the booth at the old drive-in, and would I be interested in the same job at the new one starting in August? I said sure, and the place opened on August 1st. And yeah, the new place was a big improvement on the old place. The lot was paved, there was a brand new screen, whole new sound system, an actual snack bar, and real booze at the gate to take admission with cash registers and everything. Now, naturally, I was on a regular hourly rate than taking 10% of the gate like I had with Pete, but it was still really good money, and things were off to a pretty good start. For about 2 weeks. know what you really want to know about. The merry-go-round. Okay, so I need to backtrack a little bit before we get into that. Mitch had invested in installing a playground for the more hyperactive youngsters who couldn't or wouldn't sit and watch the movie. He even managed to put in a small merry-go-round and had an operator there to run it and keep an eye on the kids. It was a huge hit, and so was the whole place. Now, because of the weather, like I said, we were only able to stay open for a couple of months, and we closed down for the winter at the end of September of '52. And about a week into October, word got around town about Lloyd Handel. So while the gossip mills were churning with what may or may not have happened to Lloyd Handel, the winter came and went, and I got ready to start working at the new Treemont for the summer of '53. We opened on Memorial Day that year, and there was a line of cars almost 2 miles long waiting to get in. We had to start turning people away because we filled the lot within half an hour of opening. Whole night went great. Then the trouble started as folks began heading out after the movie. So you can imagine that Mitch got Orrin out there, PDQ, and had him turn the whole place upside down looking for the rest of Lloyd. But nobody ever found anything else but the arm. So what with the investigation and, common decency, Mitch shut the drive down for a week, but opened it back up the next Saturday. Nothing really happened for the rest of that summer, except Mitch made it clear the merry-go-round wasn't to be used for the rest of the season, and he planned to get rid of it once we shut down. So when September rolled around, it was still pretty warm, so Mitch decided to keep the new Treemont open for as long as he could, extending the season week by week. I stuck around for as long as I could, but once school was back in session, I only took admission on the weekends. And the temperature just kind of stayed up there in the high 50s to mid 60s all the way into October. So Mitch gets another idea. The weather's going to turn bad eventually, but if things hold, why not officially end the season on Halloween? So that started the tradition of the all-night Halloween-a-thon. You pay one price, you get 6 movies back-to-back that run all Halloween night. Probably one of the best ideas he ever had. From what I understand, they kept up the tradition until 1986 or 87. Don't know why they stopped. Place stayed open until 91, as I heard it. But that was after my time, of course. Like I said, Dad got a new job managing a restaurant in Denver, so come January '54, we all pulled up stakes and moved out of Treemont, and really we never had any reason to go back. I certainly ain't been back there since. I don't rightly know, to be honest with you. I mean, yeah, some weird things kept happening out there, but for the most part, it was just a typical drive-in during the time I worked there. I just think it was a place where most everybody in town ended up at eventually, and they all brought their baggage with them, and that's what led to some of the stuff that went on out there. But to be honest with you, sometimes I wonder if the fact that Pete Crenshaw could never get that field to turn a crop wasn't a sign of something else. Well, I don't know about that. Some things are just too preposterous for somebody my age to swallow, if you follow me. Intermission reels? What do you mean? You mind stopping the recording, son? What I gotta say to you, I don't want getting out on the internet.